Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Geeks from the Multiverse. We have a great couple of episodes that are coming up right now. We have our AI versus Hollywood, and we are doing our Western genre movie. So we went straight to AI. We told it we need a Western movie, and what we're going to present to you is exactly that. So let's get geeky.
We're geeks from the multiverse. We've come to unite all geeks. Now it's time to get geeky and dive right in, 'cause we're geeks from the multiverse.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Geeks from the Multiverse. I am your host, Grumpy Beard. With me, as always,
Captain Lestache, because we had to apparently do as always, he just had to pause there for like 2 seconds. I was like, you know what, it's okay. Anyways, yes, Captain Lestache here. Anyways, yes, we're gonna be diving into some CTAs real quick before we jump into our lovely AI versus Hollywood episode. So, real quick, I know Matt's probably got a couple things first, and I'll go second. So go ahead.
we always want to tell you guys about our website because you can get everything Geeks from the Multiverse right from our website, which is geeksfromthemultiverse.com, if you didn't already know.
Whoa.
And you can get to our podcast episodes. We have a full media page with my AI album, AI Sit Show, and our official GFTM podcast, which is on Spotify. You can listen to those right on the website. We have our Evolve page. I have my author page, so you can connect with me, or you can learn a little bit more about the 3 books that I have published right now. We even have a chat us up form on our webpage, so you can send us a message. We get it through our email, and we will respond right back to you.
A little fun fact too. We were a little shocked that somebody, we're not mentioning names, doesn't matter. We were surprised that they messaged us on Facebook, so we wanted to make sure that they were heard, so we made sure to respond back to them as well. And we're glad that people are listening, whether like we said, we always joke around like finding that random stranger at Walmart, and be like, hey, look, there's a podcast, here you go, check it out. We're just like, listen, whatever way you want to listen, or just spread the word, we really don't care. But at the same time, we just love hearing from you guys, because again, this is what
Yeah.
we like to do. And so, like, giving us any like topics or anything that you want to have us try to do, we'll definitely work on it. And I mean, again, we're not experts at everything. We're going to say that right now. We do not claim to be experts on everything.
We certainly are not experts at everything, but
No.
we will break it down. We will talk about it, and certain topics. Yeah, I mean, look, we don't play every single video game out there.
No. And
So
yeah.
it's hard for us to give like tips and tricks on a game we don't play, but like we will honestly talk about it. We'll break it down, and we'll do our best with whatever topic.
Right. And I mean, not even just video games. I mean, even like sometimes, genres of, we'll call it movies, or even like TV shows or other things. There might be other things that, you know, especially like, for example, like us, like we don't watch a whole lot of anime, but, we don't care to like, go ahead and watch it. I mean, it's just one of those things that maybe, what we can do is have somebody come on. Maybe they can be the expert and kind of teach us, and we can
Hey.
ask questions. So I mean, there's all these different things.
Yeah.
It's not just, we have to know everything, because trust me, if that was the case, then we'd be like, all right, we're done. We just know everything on the planet. So here's all your tips and tricks you need, and then have a great day. I think that'd be boring as hell, man. I'm just saying that right now. But
Sure.
what do you mean, sure? why you say like sure?
Sure.
Whatever you say, pal.
Whatever
sure.
you say.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Go
Buddy
ahead.
boy.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, you're what? You trying to keep it kid friendly now? I didn't think so. No. But anyways, yeah. No. I will say one little quick thing is that we always like to try to reach out to different. I was gonna say like organizations, or just like different types of people. We did let me rephrase this. I did personally reach out to Collectible Tank, so hopefully maybe at some point, if you do listen to this episode, it'd be cool, like I said, to try to chat with you guys. These guys, they actually have like the number one. Well, let me rephrase this. It was the first Pokemon exclusive shop basically all of New England, which I found really interesting about. I understand that. Yes, I give Matt shit on because I know he's not a big Pokemon fan, and that's okay because I'm not saying everybody has to be the biggest Pokemon fan on the planet. I just thought it was cool that this place really had that kind of, I would say, different vibes and just again part of geek culture. So it was just nice to be able to talk to. Winter was over there, but I did talk to the owner. His name's Chris, but great guy. He's definitely one that I would definitely want to recommend. So if you do have any Pokemon needs, just go over there. I promise you go in there and they'll have everything you need. I promise you that. You go in, you'll see their vault, you'll see all the slabs, you'll see all the singles that they have, even the bulk that they have. I mean, it's honestly, for me, it was like I walked in and it was like my 10-year-old self. That was me because I was looking at it and I was like, oh my God, this is nuts. I mean, for Matt, it would be like, oh my God, is these Transformers? Is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle? Oh my God, what is all this? And Matt's like, shut up.
I just went in there and I'm like, hey, cool, it's cards. Because I'm not necessarily into the Pokemon or into card trading in itself.
No,
so.
but hold on a second. I mean, so a little fun fact about Matt, right? So he does like collecting a lot of like horror memorabilia. So depending on like what it is exactly. So like, for example, I know for his birthday, I did get him, it was like a Chucky Funko Pop and it was what was it? What's his face? Who's the clown?
Art the Clown.
Art the Clown. Yeah, the Terrifier. Yeah, right. So he likes that kind of stuff. So if you ever you want to post on something for him, horror all the way, give him all that lovely stuff because good old John here. No, I don't. I mean, if you want to piss me off, by all means, send it to me. But I'm not gonna respond.
If you really want to piss him off, send him some Beetlejuice stuff. He loves that. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? So send Matt all the Harry Potter stuff on the planet, and he will love to respond to you on that.
Yeah, I will respond by ignoring you.
Well, then I will ignore the shit out of you. So it goes both ways. Anyways, no. So like I said, we're just happy to be here. But let's dive into our AI versus Hollywood. Yeah. Anyways, no, you started that. No, every time that him and I listen to it, because it happens every so it's just like a blue moon, and every time I listen to it, we just go, yeah. We're just getting right into it, and everyone's
some of our little zinger intro pieces are really really good.
Well, that's why I said that's why we're Geeks from the Multiverse. Come on now.
So yes, we are talking about our AI versus Hollywood episode. In these episodes, what we do is we go to AI and we basically say, give us a movie that would be better than what Hollywood is currently making. This one, we wanted to be a Western, not one of those weird modern Westerns, but the prestige Westerns that used to be the epic version,
like the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, Tombstone, some of those really epic.
Grit.
Yeah. So we have our story, which is called A Grave at Sundown.
No, it's gonna be A Grave at Sundown.
It's a grave at sundown.
It's a grave at sundown. I'll tell you what, son. No. So anyway, he's like, all right, stop it.
All right, stop doing that.
Stop doing that, Mike. So of course you have a grave at Sundown is a prestige Western about a former outlaw who becomes a U.S. Marshal to hunt down the gang he believes killed his brother, and only to discover he was manipulated into becoming the very thing he tried to escape. The film, right, it starts at the opening here at an unmarked grave at sundown. By the end, we understand whose grave it is, why it was left unnamed and why the badge lying face down in the dirt matters more than any gunshot in the movie. This is not a revenge story. It's a story about manipulation, moral compass, compromise, and what happens when the law uses violence to clean up violence. Hey, it sounds like an everyday story.
Yeah, pretty much sounds like everything else.
Everything else that's going on in the world. Anyways.
So yes, we'll talk about our director picks. We have a couple, but we will do a much deeper director breakdown, character breakdown, which includes casting, costumes, all that other jazz that normally would go into making a movie.
Right.
We will do that in the next episode, which is next week. But we will dive into a couple choices that AI had chosen. I didn't just let AI pick one. Like, there's a couple here that are honestly like really good at directing westerns. So the first choice that I personally would do is the Coen brothers. They have a lot of proven films. I mean, one of their a couple of them that they've done True Grit, No Country for Old Men. So they understand that quiet tension, the ambiguous morality, and violent consequences without a lot of melodrama. And our second choice is Denis Villeneuve, something like that.
Yeah, one of those.
He brings
Villeneuve. That's probably.
He brings scale, emotional gravity, moral compass that's complex. He's done Prisoners, Sicario, and he's done the Dune movies. He would lean more into this atmospheric, psychological intensity. That's why I think he's the second choice as far as the Western, because they have these different ways of operating. You know what I mean? One is more atmosphere and psychological. The other's more this quiet tension, violent consequences without all of that melodrama, like I said. So those are our two choices.
Well, I mean, I did really kind of real quick kind of look up the best or the top Western directors of all time. The problem is they're pretty much all dead. And so you really can't pick unless you could be let me go back in time and grab these guys and be all right, let me get you over here to make you this Western movie real quick. Because a lot of them I've never heard of. The only one that I was looking up real quick because of The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, the guy who directed it was Sergio Leone. And I had no idea who the hell he was. He was an Italian filmmaker, but he died in '89. So I was like, never mind. I would have thought,
shit.
Well, shit. You can't have him. Well, you can't do that. But
can't do that.
No, but I mean, it'd be interesting. If we could be hey, if we used our multiversal time travel to pick.
Yeah, but I mean, being more realistic.
I know.
AI had chosen those two because they've done. Prisoners and Sicario and Dune aren't necessarily westerns, but it's the way that he directs and makes the movies.
Yeah.
The Coen brothers have done westerns.
Westerns, yeah.
So
I mean, I feel like you could probably have all three. One of them being one of the main directors, and then having the other one is maybe I don't know, a creative director or something like that. Something.
I mean,
be both.
Personally, I would choose the Coen brothers, and because our lead actor, and I'll give this little reveal before the next episode, is Scott Eastwood. I personally would have Clint Eastwood. I know he's 1,000 years old, but
was he 1,000? I didn't realize he was.
I would honestly just put Clint Eastwood as an executive producer.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, you might as well just be.
I mean, he's been in a lot of westerns,
right?
And he's also has that experience as a director. So I think anybody that would be the person to talk to.
Well, yeah, and then you could be hey, Dad, let me see your. What are you looking at, punk? That famous line or whatever. But no, I mean, I agree. I feel like you could have someone like him, kind of give little tidbits or little tricks or something tips and tricks, for example, to show the true Western type of filming and showing that creative style to it.
Right.
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, and this is like, we'll talk more about the writing and all that other jazz, but I mean, this movie is really meant to be like a true Western, not like this modern thing where the language doesn't quite match up, or the dialogue is like
So my only
it's close, but the vocabulary is newer, and like
well,
they're walking around and you're hearing modern like rap music. And it's like no.
no.
This is going to be like a true to time,
Listen,
1800s.
This isn't like Blazing Saddles, okay? Sorry, I don't know what to tell you here. No, I mean, I agree that, well, that's what I was going to ask you. So it is going to be based in, like, we'll call it the probably like late 1800s kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yes. Sometime in the 1800s. Yeah.
Oh, sometime in the 1800s.
Sometime in the 1800s.
So I would think maybe the 1860s, maybe 1880s, somewhere around there is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If we were taking a guess.
Yeah, probably somewhere in there. So we'll get into each act. There's, I believe, 4 acts that we have.
Well, let's
So Act 1, this is really where the story begins. I mean, we had the opening scene that you had laid out, which he's, the film opens with an unmarked grave. Wade is sort of just like there at the unmarked grave that's actually in the poster. But the story begins years in the past. Our main character's name is Wade Harrow. He has left his gunslinger life behind him. We never really officially see him as an outlaw. We only hear about the reputation that he was feared, he was dangerous, he was wanted. And he walks away from that life because he just wanted peace. His younger brother, who is Eli, really just never understood that decision.
Hold on a second? Did you just throw in a Western twang there? You're like,
I don't know.
You heard his younger brother, Eli, never understood that decision. I'll tell
I
you.
don't know if I did or not.
Well, you just did a second ago.
Oh, I'm doing it on purpose now.
Oh yeah, now you are.
Yeah. So his younger brother Eli never understood the decision that Wade made by leaving that like outlaw lifestyle. Eli is one who idolizes that myth of outlaw life, the camaraderie, the money, the legend, status. Like he sees Wade, or he at least saw Wade as someone who lived free. Wade sees the way that he lived for what it was. It was blood and a lot of regret. Eli eventually falls in with this rising outlaw crew called the Crow Gang, which is led by Malachi Crow. They are, he's charismatic, he's ruthless, he's calculated. And that's kind of where we open this movie up, is a train robbery gone wrong. And there's 2 U.S. Marshals that respond. Odell Hicks is one of them. He's one of these characters that'll be in the rest of the movie. And Clint Jesperson.
That's an interesting last name, Jesperson.
Jesperson is steady and respected. Hicks is sharp, driven, and intense. The robbery erupts into chaos. There's smoke, confusion, a lot of crossfire. Jesperson is killed. Eli catches a bullet. And we never clearly see who fired that fatal shot. When the smoke clears, the Crow Gang escapes. Hicks survives. Among the bodies lies a young man who may have been Crow, or may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Hicks buries the body quietly. There's no formal report, no public identification, no questions. Order is preserved. And I think like what AI is trying to do here is like whoever was killed is a mystery at this point. Like we don't know if the body he was burying was Jesperson. We don't know if it was just a loser on this Crow Gang. Yeah. Like we just don't know. Like he doesn't file a formal report. There's no identification of the body, and there's really just no questions. Like Hicks just buries this thing, and
I know we're not going to be talking about like actors and actresses and stuff like that, but you know who would be really good in the movie like this?
For what role?
I don't know. I guess we'd have to make a role, but Sam Elliott. I think Sam Elliott should be in a movie like
Sam
this.
Elliott is like 1,000 years old.
You know what? But maybe he plays Jesperson. Sorry. I'm just saying. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't think like for one, I don't think AI put out a role for Jesperson because he wasn't, he's one of these characters like you see him.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like a little.
You see him for only like a couple minutes on screen, and as soon as everything is said and done, like he's shot and killed. So I mean, yeah, I could see it'd be a very, very small role, and
It could be.
I don't think this movie would be like a $250 million movie.
No,
It might be
no.
like 50 million.
No, but I mean, come on. You tell me that Sam Elliott wouldn't be a great fit in a movie like this?
I think Sam Elliott would be a great fit. And he certainly hasn't played main characters in anything like recently.
Well, no, not recently, but I honestly think like with his resume and everything else that he's.
Oh yeah, no, I mean
definitely could
he's
fit
the
this role.
Western guy. Yeah,
Yes.
he's another Western dude.
What Western dude? What
He's
what
a
is-
Western dude. You know what I mean?
God, please don't. And anyways, going into Act 2, yes, the badge and the hunt. So we find out that Wade learns that Eli died during the robbery, and nobody was returned. No details were given. Hicks approaches Wade with an offer: wear the badge, hunt the Crow gang, erase your past crimes. And we're like, okay, I guess we're gonna erase those past crimes right now. And then Hicks never lies outright. He lets Wade assume that the gang killed Eli. Fucking bastard. It's like,
You
know,
fucking bastard.
You fucking bastard. You didn't even tell them. He lets his grief fill in the blanks. Oh, that's great. That's a great start to that. What Hicks truly wants is revenge for Jesperson. See, we need to change that name.
It's staying.
Okay, fine.
This is AI versus Hollywood, not Matt and John versus Hollywood.
Well, we might as well because that last name is
That
something.
last name sucks, son.
It sucks. Anyways, yes, trials would raise questions, right? Dead outlaws raise none. Wade becomes a U.S. Marshal. Okay, here we go. And this is where Clara re-enters
Clara.
this. Clara or Clara?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Clara.
Clara, one of the two. She re-enters the story, right? So Clara knew, Wade during his outlaw years. They were once together. He disappeared to escape the life, and then she built something stable without him. When he returns wearing a badge, she doesn't see redemption. She sees a man picking up a gun again. Their reunion is restrained, honest, and tense. Clara helps Wade investigate quietly. She notices burial, there we go, inconsistencies, missing records, details that don't line up. She begins to suspect Hicks, but never says it directly. She knows Wade. She knows that what he would do if he believed the law betrayed him, which is, well, I mean, no shit on that one.
Yeah.
It's like-
the dude was literally a gunslinger and an outlaw. Like, yes, we know.
We all know. Anyways,
We know.
And then meanwhile, Wade hunts the Crow gang one by one. Each confrontation is brutal and different. Interesting. It'd be interesting to be like, like if they all had different like nicknames and then like that's how they died. It's like, I don't know. He's like the lizard. Yeah, well, you get dead by a lizard. I don't know. Something stupid. It'd be weird, but each outlaw gives us slightly a different account of what happened the night of the robbery. Some say the law fired wildly. Some say Eli froze. Some say he wasn't even truly Crow. The truth becomes murkier.
So, yes, this is where, and I'm going to go to the treatment on this one because, I mean, there's a lot of things, the treatment has a lot more background info.
True.
As far as like what's going on. So obviously with this scene of Wade becoming a U.S. Marshal, we see that, Wade is obviously he's older, he's weathered, he's worn down. He's not a guy that would be considered handsome at this point. Like he's probably not like a good looking dude. He's probably like one of these like just weary, broken, traumatized kind of guys. And, we see him becoming this U.S. Marshal, not because he's making this choice. It's really Hicks hanging this over his head, saying like, you can either do this or I can bring you in.
Your choice.
Your choice. And Hicks is doing it mainly so that he can eliminate this gang.
Of course.
Without anybody else really asking any questions. And so, we see this kind of weight that he hangs on his, jacket or a shirt being the badge that he's holding now. And when he's hunting this gang, he's only really doing it because he has no real option. Then he still doesn't know what happened to Eli. So that's kind of like where we're going. And Clara, she runs a boarding house and saloon in town. So that's kind of what she's doing. Like
So she's a pimp.
she's not a pimp.
No,
A boarding house is more like an inn.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
But she was initially going to be building a life around Wade and that relationship. But when he left and kind of like forged his own path, she did the same thing on her own. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of what happened.
Yeah.
And so Wade is a character who is still haunted by his brother's death. Not just grief, but the shape of it, like the whole thing. Like Eli's story never really made sense. It was too clean, too convenient. There's really no answers. Did Eli really ride with the Crow gang? Was he a part of the gang, or was he just kind of like this outsider that they accepted? You know, there's no questions. And that's the whole point of this like unmarked grave. Like there's no nothing. And so we have these, we have the robbery and this investigation that's happening where he got this permission to be violent again. Right. And so I'm going to go into the Three Crows because I know the Act 3 is that like Malachi confrontation, and there's narrative before that happens. So when he finds these Crow members, each one gives a piece of the truth, like you had said. So the first Crow is really, he's nicknamed the Coward. He's a runner, a scavenger, a man who lived because he always ran first. He breaks under pressure, admits that Eli was wounded during the robbery. The gang didn't carry dead weight. They left Eli behind, and it was Crow's call. Wade asks if they killed him, and he basically says, no, we rode and we had to. Like they didn't necessarily kill him, but they left him wounded. And it's that hesitation that this guy gives that Wade just kills him. Like it doesn't quite feel like justice, and it doesn't feel like relief. It's just kind of like
it's done.
It's just done. The second Crow is the Believer. His nickname is the Believer. He is a lieutenant. He's loyal to Crow's myth, his gang, I guess you could say. This one doesn't beg. He mocks Wade. He calls Eli a fool, calls Wade a traitor. He says Eli chose the gang because Wade abandoned who he really was. And within what he's saying to Wade, it drops a detail that just doesn't fit. He says they heard shots after they rode, no gang shots, different shots, official shots. Like there's something that doesn't quite line up there. And even though Wade tries to ignore it, he wants Crow to be the villain because that makes the world a lot more simpler. When you can actually name your villain, I think like you can relate to, like when you know who the person is that's the villain, it's much easier to be like, no, it has to be his fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he ends up fighting this man in close quarters, guns, knives, lots of blood, until the kill is personal and really ugly. Afterwards, Wade sits alone. He's breathing hard, realizing violence is no longer a tool, but it's becoming a home, something more familiar. You want to do that third one? Do you have the third one?
Sure, I'll do the third one.
All right. So, yeah, we got the third Crow,
The Mirror.
which is interesting because I never would have thought the Mirror would have been how this would have been played out. But yes, he's a quiet man. The gang's cleaner, air quotes. The one who knows how bodies vanish. The one that doesn't talk much. He looks at Wade like he recognizes him, like he knows Wade is closer to the gang than Wade wants to admit. Under pressure, the cleaner finally says the line that changes everything. Crow didn't bury your brother.
That was pretty good. Crow didn't bury your brother, man.
Oh, no. He's like, wait a minute. Wait, does he have a a very high pitched voice. No.
Oh yes.
Shut up. Shut up. Anyways, no. The cleaner starts to say more, but Wade shoots him fast. Too fast. Wait, too fast? How fast are we talking? Squish!
Yeah.
The reflex is telling. Wade is scared of the truth. Ooh, what is the truth?
There you
That's
go.
the question.
Yes. So those are our three crows that, during their investigation, he goes and finds each of these different crow members and interrogates them. And what's important to know is like each kill gets just a little bit more brutal.
And I feel like this should happen over, well, clearly not we'll call it a few days. I would say it should happen like over a span of like either a few weeks or like a few months, maybe, like to kind of like build the tension a little bit. Because if you just say boom, 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 and that's it, and all in one day, and you're like, yeah, that's not how this works, or at least that quickly. I feel like you need to build that up a little bit.
Well, no, and this is where, throughout this time, like he's not just going from one crow, one crow member to the other. Like this is where, like during this whole part of the movie, he's doing this investigation. Like he's questioning ranch hands, rail workers. He's going to different saloons, different towns.
I mean, this could take months.
Yeah, and he's really trying to know, what the crows are up to, what they're doing, who's in charge, who's doing what. And this is where he finds these three that potentially were there at this robbery, because he wasn't at the robbery, so he has no idea other than like what Hicks might have told him.
Right.
And I would think that someone like Wade would be very skeptical of Hicks anyways, one, because he's a U.S. Marshal.
Right, even though he becomes a U.S. Marshal. But...
and I think he would still be questioning like his motives, like what is Hicks really trying to do here, Well,
we all know that Hicks is suspicious already as it is, so.
Yeah, and I mean that's probably his whole purpose of recruiting Wade to begin with, like so he can kind of clean up the dirty work that he doesn't have to do.
Or maybe. No.
But we we do have Clara who's kind of jumping in, like she knows like certain routes that these people take. She knows certain names. She knows who pays whom because she works in a boarding house and a saloon. People talk. You know what I mean? So at first, like she helps Wade because part of her still believes that like Wade is still a good person deep down and that he's chasing the truth. And I think at some point she realizes that Wade isn't necessarily chasing the truth. He's chasing that permission to be the person that he used to be.
Right.
And Clara becomes that kind of tether, the only person that can really speak to him like a human being and not like he's some kind of a weapon. And that's exactly what Hicks is trying to do. He's trying to manipulate him into being this like weapon just to go out and do some vigilante justice. And I think that's kind of where she turns and betrays him. I think that's a little bit later.
Oh, you mean like right after the third kill?
Well, I mean, this is like, we get to this like Act 3 and we get to the Clara's betrayal. This is after the third kill.
So I would think of what the betrayal would happen before him confronting Malachi, right?
Yes. So this betrayal would happen before he confronts. She is, she's withholding something from him because, it's obviously not that she's helping the Crow gang. She's fearing for Wade of what he's going to do and what it means like for his future, because he left the life. Like he didn't want to be an outlaw. And I would be assuming that Clara initially probably either didn't know he was an outlaw gunslinger, or maybe she knew him before he was kind of really vicious. But she's fearing for Wade and what he would do when he realized the enemy might not just be these outlaws. It might be law people.
Dum, dum, dum.
And she had seen Odell Hicks redirect questions, closing records. He makes bodies disappear from ledgers. obviously she didn't have proof.
Wait a minute.
Um,
Are you saying that he's the mirror?
no, he's not the mirror.
Oh,
the
man.
the guy that he killed was.
Well, I don't know. It
The
sounds
mirror.
like he's the true mirror.
But she withheld information from him basically because she feared what he would become. And, obviously, like when you kill a U.S. Marshal,
You're fucked.
you're pretty much fucked the rest
Wait,
of
wait,
your life.
wait.
So,
Hold on. Ready? It's like GTA. You get 5 stars on you.
yeah,
Pretty much.
wanted. So that's where I think like the relationship fractures right here. Like it's not necessarily like them breaking up because they really weren't together. Although there's probably a little bit of a romantic tension between them.
Wait. Are you saying there's a sexual tension, Matt?
No, not a sexual.
Oh, so
tension.
just a romantic.
Just that romantic tension. But this is where he's realizing like she didn't tell me everything. And it's a whole lot worse because like he's someone that would trust her being the only person that's really communicating to him like he's a real
Right.
human being. And it's just that like that tension that's like I said, it's not like they're breaking up like, oh, you're breaking up with me, man. What the hell?
Wait, where's my Pokemon? I mean, wait. We don't want to talk about that. Never mind. I'm sorry.
But no, she's withholding information. She's not telling him all that she's, thinking or all that she knows. So that it's just that tension right there. That's like, what aren't you telling me? And, you don't want answers. You want a target.
That was,
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that means, man. You don't want answers. You want a target.
Sound like the old guy from Family Guy.
No. No, I'm not doing that.
Pervert to pervert.
Anyway.
Anyways, so we get to Malachi Crow, and this is where we get to Act 3.
You want me to do this, or you want to do this, Pale?
Probably from the treatment,
Okay.
because I feel like the notes go right to him, like
Yeah, kind of going back and forth.
being dead.
Being dead. Okay. So yes, Wade finally corners Malachi Crow. The hideout assault is brutal. Smoke, screaming chaos, horses breaking loose. It's messy, not heroic. Wade is injured, exhausted, operating on pure will. I don't know about the last part. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Crow escapes. The chase is relentless. Horseback through brush and stone, then Wade thrown hard, then on foot, tracking like a predator. Not Alien versus Predator, but, it's okay. They collide in a ravine. A brutal fight. Gunfire too close to aim. Fists choking. Whoa. Heads cracking against rock. No choreography, just survival. I would hope not. Let's dance. Anyways, a brutal. Oh, yeah. No.
You already said that.
All right, it did. I'm sorry. Wade pins Crow, blood in his eyes, shaking from effort and fury. He demands the truth. What happened to Eli? Crow.
What happened to Eli?
What happened to Eli? Crow smiles, not because he's winning, because he knows Wade is already broken. Crow begins.
He's not.
Wade shoots him immediately. Reflex. Habit. Fear. The sentence dies. And for the first time, Wade realizes the pattern. Every time the truth gets close, he kills it.
So yes, in this like scene, this is like probably one of the most epic scenes in this movie when, they start fighting and then there's like this epic horse chase, where they get to, this like brush, right? Where Wade is thrown off the horse and, they have to go on foot and they're chasing each other. They get to the ravine, there's this like rolling around in the dirt, punching and choking each other. And I mean, it sounds like really epic Western.
Well, yeah. But I think we need to go back to the notes because then this is interesting that I just saw. Because right here, on paper, justice is done. But Wade begins to unravel the inconsistencies quietly and slowly. He discovers the unmarked burial record, overseen by Hicks. Hicks didn't necessarily know whose bullet killed Eli, but he knew an innocent might have died, and he buried that possibility to protect the badge and himself. Wade realizes something worse. Hicks never wanted justice. He wanted revenge, and he used Wade to get it. And so that's what we were just talking about this whole entire time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Hicks here, I'm like, I don't really I don't know. Because everyone's like, oh, yeah, let's go with Hicks, man. That sounds like a great time. Hey, you need to, become a marshal. You need to help me out here. Yeah, okay, bud. Whatever you say, pal. And then guess what? Loser, you decided to follow him, and you just did his dirty work.
So yeah, this is where we get to, like, when he turns the attention to Hicks, like he starts kind of piecing it together, right? Like, Hicks is the law. He's a U.S. Marshal. So, there's records, there's ledgers, there's burial logs, and there's a quiet entry within all that. Unidentified male, a body moved without ceremony, a grave outside of town. This is the grave at Sundown, the unmarked grave that we start at in the beginning. Wade is piecing this thing together. Like, Eli was wounded. He was abandoned by the Crow gang. Odell, Hicks, and Jesperson arrived at that scene, right? Like, Eli was moved. He might have been reaching, might have been begging, might have been trying to surrender, and then Hicks shot him. Hicks buried him quietly. He turned Wade into a U.S. Marshal to keep him close and useful. And then Hicks aimed Wade at the Crow gang like a bullet, letting him burn the only people who could contradict any official story. So it's like Wade wasn't just hunting like this outlaw gang, like he was doing a cleanup.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, literally, it was like, you're basically, he becomes this, like I said, I was like a loser, because unfortunately, yeah, you were suckered into this. I mean, unfortunately, and then you had to be the one to clean up the bullshit that basically Hicks started in the begin with. So here we are, and this is where we say sucker, and unfortunately you go, all right, what are you going to do now? We're going to find out, because this next act is going to tell us what is going to happen.
Yeah, and this is the, there's a final confrontation. This is probably, this is like the end of the movie here. And we have this final confrontation. They're at the grave. Odell Hicks is standing at the grave, sort of like he belongs there, like he wrote it into the land. Wade arrives alone. There's no posse, no deputies, there's no witnesses. I think, it says here Claire is watching from a distance, but she's unable to stop really what she set in motion with all of the investigation. And when he goes to Hicks and accuses him, he really doesn't deny it. We have, Wade looking at the grave, and, Wade is sort of, there's a little script here. We can read it if you want, John.
Well, are we talking about the notes, or are we talking about this treatment we're talking about?
The notes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's the one I was looking at when it came to the dialogue. Let's see, where are we at? Where are we going? Right up here?
Act 4.
Years later? Yeah, okay. So years later, Wade stands at the unmarked grave, and Wade looks at the grave. You had to dig it up.
And Hicks shakes his head.
We are who we are, Wade.
We are who we are, Wade. There's no denying it.
Silence. Wade, there he goes. And my brother?
Hicks hesitates, not because he doesn't know, but because he doesn't care the way Wade does. It rode with him. That's you.
Oh, that was okay. Well, it doesn't necessarily say he was just a boy.
He was a damn crow. I did what I had to do.
Wade steps closer. You saw smoke. You saw blood. You saw Jesperson fall. You fired into chaos.
Hicks tightens. They were killers, every last one of them.
Wade lets that sit. So was I. That lands. And is that? I'm assuming that next part, right?
I think that's you.
Okay. And you knew it. You didn't come to me because I could wear a badge. You came to me because I could kill them. Not bring them in. Kill them.
Hicks doesn't argue that. We cleaned up the territory. No more trains hit. No more widows.
You didn't clean anything. Wade steps closer. You used me. A long pause. Wade's voice lowers. All I wanted was to forget that laugh. Sorry. Trying to leave it buried, and you dug it back up.
Hicks straightens. Men like us don't get to forget. The world needs men willing to do what others won't.
Wade looks down at the badge pinned to his chest. Is that the lie you tell yourself? or the one that you tell the townsfolk? Silence. You weren't after justice, Hicks. You wanted revenge, and you didn't care how much blood it took to get it.
Hicks' jaw tightens. They would have kept killing.
And instead of the law, you met violence with violence.
Hicks' hand inches towards his holster. Don't pretend you're better than me.
Wade's eyes never leave him. I'm not beat. Is that beat? Just beat?
I don't know why I said beat, to be honest.
Okay. But I didn't hide behind a badge. Hicks moves not fast just enough. His fingers close around the grip. Wade sees it. A breath. Hicks, I may have been a killer, but you made sure I stayed one. The draw begins. Gunshot. Cut before impact. Silence. We return to the grave at sundown. Wade stands alone. He removes the badge. For a second, he studies it. And not with pride, not with anger, just understanding. He lets it fall. The badge lands face down in the dirt. Dust rises, settles, partially buries it. The metal catches the last light of the sun. We never see where he rides. We never see Claire again. We never hear another word. Just wind over an unmarked grave. Fade to black. I fade to black.
Fade to black.
Fade to black. That's how it should end. It's somebody just go fade to black. No, I will say, I mean, yeah, granted, I know our lovely impression that we're doing here. I will say that, doing that is like, it's interesting because like, I feel like in a lot of like Westerns, and maybe I'm wrong, but there's really no, it's kind of like, what's the point? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on? So this kind of clears up everything. And I mean, granted, yeah, we all say, yeah, fuck you, Hicks, kind of
Yeah,
a deal at the
You
end here. But
fucking
you
bastard,
fucking
Hicks.
asshole. No, but I mean, that's because it is interesting because I mean, of course, in the Westerns, I mean, of course, I'm going to ride into the sun and I'm never looking back. I mean, that I would say is a very Western thing to do.
Yeah, and I mean, what's interesting though about the ending is it's even though like yes we do find out what sort of happened. Hicks. Was he doing something wrong? Was he doing something right? Like, it's really one of those weird things. Like, he probably didn't really know Eli, to be honest. And he saw somebody that might have been a crow, might have been an innocent. It was sort of just that, like, he's a lawman. He probably understood Eli was part of this robbery and just shot him because he thought he was an outlaw. So
That's true.
it's really one of these things like, was Hicks just purposefully shooting him because he's an asshole? or was he just trying to do his job and be like, this guy's a killer, like I need to shoot him before he gets away?
Well, that's true. And I mean, I know we're going to be talking about some other things in a second. I'm actually looking at this epilogue. This one is interesting on the treatment one because I saw this and I was like, interesting that one says one thing and this says another. But so I'll read it real quick. It basically Wade stands alone, staring at the unmarked grave. Now he knows whose grave it is. Now he knows what it cost to find out. And this is the part I find interesting. So Clara approaches slowly, carefully, not to celebrate, not to forgive, just to be there. Because sometimes being there is the only mercy left. Wade doesn't cry. Okay, he looks at the ground and finally speaks the truth, and he's been avoiding for years. I killed everyone but the man that mattered. And then Clara doesn't comfort him. She doesn't excuse him. She just says, now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know. No, yet never mind. I can't go there.
No, you're not.
Don't do that, man. And then the wind moves through the grass like a whisper. The sun disappears and cut to black. So
I don't know if I like that version, to be honest.
I was looking at it because I was like, do we want Clara or do we just want,
I sort of like the note version where he drops the badge and we don't quite, I mean, obviously like the camera's not following where he's riding off,
right?
But I sort of like that idea of him just riding off, like as the camera stays on the grave and we see the badge face down, we see the sun
Right.
you know, that last little bits of sun gleaming off of it, we just see him riding off, and then it's just
Well, why
fade
would
to
you?
black. Like I think that's much better than
No, you're not.
than having him like say something like. I mean, this line kind of. I mean, it ruins it for me, to be honest. But
Now you know.
like, just like I killed everyone but the man that mattered.
yeah, and then no, it's either she says now you know, or no, you're not. You're not leaving me now. And then you go, wait a minute, no, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I'm gonna ride myself off into the damn sunset without you, you know. And so I do agree that yeah, I would rather see the badge drop. You know, him just kind of say, well, I guess fuck all this, and I'm just gonna leave now because there's no reason for me to be staying here. But I just, you know, to see Claire again. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no,
think
I
that
don't
makes any sense.
I don't like that version. But you know, it's one of these things like it's and this type of Western isn't like let's shoot all the bad guys and ride into the sunset. Like this ending is very tragic. Like
Oh yeah,
there's no real
solution.
or you know resolution to Wade's story in this. Like it's really just his brother is still dead
It has been.
and has been, and this movie really does, you know, like this says, it's really about how the law and outlaw can really mirror each other, you know. And it asks a simple but uncomfortable question: is justice driven by revenge? If justice is driven by revenge, is it still justice?
Look at you, man.
Look at me
Good old
asking the
fellow.
hard question. I'm asking these hard questions, man.
Oh, you know.
So like, you know, we see this like real ending scene, like you know, the badge falls face down in the dirt. You know, we kind of ask this like question right at the end, like, does Wade finally find peace, or did he just like lose everything twice?
You know, and it's pretty fucked up to say, but yes, no, clearly he lost everything twice because holy fuck, like you lose your brother in the beginning, and now this guy comes up to you and says, "Hey, we're gonna kill some motherfuckers real quick. You got to go after this Crow gang because they're the ones that killed him," and then none of them can tell him the truth, and then he has to go back to Hicks and say, "I knew it was you." You know,
yeah, and it's only like through, you know, him working with Clara, even though, you know, she may not have told him everything.
right.
But, you know, it's through their investigation that he finds out like these errors with with logs. I mean, even though this is in the 1800s, I'm sure they still had to write shit down.
Oh yeah, right. That right.
They had to write shit down, you know what I mean? Like they had to keep track of stuff, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I'm saying no, but you know, and this is the part I find interesting. So literally, of course, we don't know who Jesperson is, right? And so you know, Hicks, he's getting revenge for him, and then of course accidentally shoots Wade's brother here, and then basically says, "Well, how do I kill two birds with one stone?" Because he's getting his justice by using somebody else's pain
Right.
to let him do with all this shit. And then, of course, you know, Wade, so many years later, comes back and says, "You motherfucker."
Yeah, I mean,
You
and
know?
it's through, these three individual Crow members that were at the robbery that kind of start picking the story out,
Oh,
where
right.
things like just aren't lining up. Like they each have different stories, different versions, and it's that, like I said, it's just that investigation that he's like, yeah, some of these things aren't lining up. Like I'm gonna have to go right to Malachi Crow, and unfortunately, like he just fucking shoots the guy. He just shoots the guy before he's like, oh shit, I didn't even question him first.
Well, shit.
Well, shit.
Hey, remember what did that say? Shoot first, ask questions later. Oh shit, I can't do that now,
Shit, I can't do that now.
motherfucker.
But then I think, it doesn't matter about him shooting him because he kind of pieces that together where, those last words, like he's not, you kind of wonder, right? In that moment, like he's not what? He's not dead?
And you're like, yeah. Like what?
I think in the other notes, it doesn't say he wasn't. I think it says he wasn't. He's instead of he's not. Because I think the initial one was he's not. but in the notes it says it wasn't, and that's when Wade shoots him, which I think is a lot clearer because then you're like, it wasn't what? It wasn't you. It wasn't. What are you talking about? Like,
What are we talking about here?
it's just that mystery. I mean, it's like,
Well, you know, it'd be really fucked up if, like, you know, Wade goes off to the sunset and then, you know, Eli comes out of nowhere and goes, "Hey, man, how you doing?
hey man, my name's Eli. How you doing,
You
man?
son of a bitch. You've been alive this entire time? All right, let's go wear it off together." And then you go, "Well, there's your movie." No, and, you know, in this, I'm not saying it could be, but, you know, maybe there is an underlying fact that, you know, maybe Eli is still alive and we just really don't know that. And maybe if there was a sequel, then maybe he could do that.
I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's completely up in the air. Like, we believe at the end of the movie that Eli is dead,
Well, I
but
think.
is he?
I don't know. Because goddamn Wade just killed everybody on the fucking planet. He's like, nope, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, he killed the 3 members that were at the robbery. I mean, he's killed the leader of their gang, you know, and he's obviously, you know, we do know that Eli at least was injured. We just don't know what happened to him after that. Like, did he run?
Did he survive?
Did he survive? Did Hicks in fact shoot him dead? Like, we just don't know, and that's
Or maybe did he kill Jefferson and he just wanted to get these motherfuckers anyways? Or Jesperson, sorry.
or
know.
was Eli secretly working to take over the Crow Gang? Who knows?
Who knows? And that's for you to decide. No.
But I do think the story is pretty solid. Like,
No, I honestly, you know, and this is the other part, right? So when we've been doing these AI versus Hollywoods, you know, yes, we've had 2, you know, very sci-fi driven, you know, events, you know, and like, you know, doing like the Echoverse, and that's why Matt, of course, wrote his book,
yes,
you know, and then of course we did
Bioforge,
which
was the
I
TV
keep
show.
forgetting, yes, the TV show, because it's been so long since
Yeah.
we've talked.
That
about
was
it.
our very first one.
I know, but then you know, you talk about from that to, you know, Earthworm Jim, you know, just doing like a movie on that, and then of course doing like a parody of, you know, kind of like Hot Tub Time Machine, but not really, you know,
Jacuzzi Tamakuzi.
you know, and it just, you know, and then this one, and then it's like, you talk about like some serious, funny, and then like, oh my God, this is pretty sad. Like this is just tragic.
This is pretty tragic as far as a story. I mean, when you look at a character like Wade, there's so much like brokenness. I mean, him and Clara broken, right?
Right.
His brother's dead, so I mean, obviously that's very traumatic, very, you know, that's what's breaking him the most. But you also have like his previous lifestyle. He was an outlaw. He was wanted. People feared him.
Right.
And so, yeah, even though he left the life, it was like he's probably a dude that's never going to find peace in his life.
No.
So you have this guy that's like really just broken, traumatic. You know, he is mental health walking around. You know what I mean? Like
back in the 1880s. No.
And there's really nothing in his life that's really positive. You know, and when Hicks finds him, I'm sure he's probably drinking himself silly in a bar.
Yeah, that's true.
And Hicks is like, "Hey, I'm a U.S. Marshal. You're a wanted man.
Why don't you help me kill these motherfuckers?
You know, your record can be clear if you help me out. Well, you know, with this Crow Gang, and
Killed your brother.
if you can't, well, I'm going to take you in, and you're gonna hang by your neck until dead.
Okay.
Okay, okay, you're gonna hang. Okay,
That's bad.
from your neck. That's bad.
Okay.
But you're gonna do that. Okay, okay.
Please. I think we should get the voice actor who does him just to play that. Okay. Okay.
You're a bad man. Okay.
Okay. No, I mean, it does, this whole thing really does, I don't know. I feel like in today's age, I think we, you know, getting a movie like this, I don't know. I think, you know, when we were talking about like the budget, I mean, sure, maybe it might be 50, it might be whatever. I mean, if it's done correctly, and I know we'll talk about, of course, the characters, like the casting, all that stuff later. I mean, so far, I mean, story-wise, this could be a really great movie. And I mean, now whether or not it's going to hit like $1 billion, I mean, it could definitely be a good movie where it could sell. Just as long as you place it, not like, for example, I'm going to mention this. Don't place it with like Dune and like Doomsday put together.
Oh, like Marvel did?
Yeah, like Marvel did.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Do it on a separate thing so it can actually strive.
Yeah.
Because if you don't,
But I mean, I think that the casting too is kind of like what will sell the movie. I mean, even though Scott Eastwood's not like this huge name,
no, but
he carries a lot of legendary status because of his father.
right.
And being one who, I mean, if you ever see Scott Eastwood, he looks just like his father did when he was younger. I mean, it's a
pretty
spitting
scary.
image.
It's pretty scary. I know. I saw a photo recently. I was like, holy shit.
Well, we have some. I mean, we do have some movie stills and some concept pieces that we have, and that we'll share. Throughout the week. And I'm telling you, man, this guy like almost a spitting image of his dad. I mean, it's pretty scary.
Oh, I know. It is pretty scary. I mean, literally, it's like he went, bam, there's my kid. And then you're like, holy shit. Did you just want to like fucking like take your head off and put it on your son's head or something and say, here you go? I mean, and it's weird because then, you start to look at him and then, Clint, and it's like, shit.
If you look at the photo of Wade riding his horse, that one that one's very hard to tell whether that's Clint Eastwood or Scott Eastwood, because I'm looking at the photo, I'm like, man.
I mean, it's
right there. It's like, wow.
That's pretty fucking identical, depending on who you choose. I mean, it literally is. I mean, now granted, AI did a wonderful job with just kind of coming up with like concept, characters and things like that. I mean,
I think the movie poster is like the most telling for Wade, like his face.
Well, I mean, granted, I mean, yes, I do like the tone of it. I mean, yes, I mean, hopefully if you could get Scott to play the role for this, like, yeah, sure, you can have his face and like kind of do that same idea, because it's not quite him. Because when you're looking at that photo and you're kind of looking at it like, I mean, granted, I know it's ChatGPT and saying, hey, here, let me try to get as close as you can.
Yeah. I mean, you have to realize it's AI doing this, so
I know, but I mean, yeah, no, I mean, looking at that,
why it's AI versus Hollywood.
Well, I do, but I mean, looking at it though, I mean, holy shit! Like, I'd be like, all right, man, let's go watch this movie. Let's go. I don't even care. I don't even care if it's Marvel. Let's just go watch it.
I mean, it just the nature of it. I think like most movies, when you look at how most movies are done, like you kind of have like that beginning where it may or may not introduce like the initial conflict, but like you kind of get the gist of the main characters. Then you kind of get into that story, you get into the conflict, you see who the villains are, and then there's that rush to like stop what the villains are doing, or writing justice, at least in Westerns. And there's always at the end, there's usually a resolution. And I think what I like about this movie is throughout the whole damn thing, there's no resolution.
Nope.
Like, you just do not feel good about any part of this movie.
No. And it's like, it actually, that's what we're saying too, is that it's actually feeding into the human emotion. And it's actually getting you to say, man, this whole thing's fucked up from the beginning, and there is no like happy ending whatsoever. This is, unfortunately, we'll call it real life. This is like what it is, and this is back then.
Yeah, and I think towards the end of the movie, like you start kind of understanding that, like, I mean, initially when you're looking at Odell Hicks.
Oh, now I see who he is now because I'm looking at.
Yeah, when you're understanding like who Odell Hicks is. Sure, Malachi Crow, they do robberies, they kill people, they steal, they're bad people. And I'm not debating whether they're good or whether he's good or bad or their crew is good or bad. We know who Malachi is, right? Like, we know that he's an outlaw. We know that he's just a bad dude. Odell Hicks, he's a damn U.S. Marshal. Like, he should be the good guy. He should be the guy that's like, we have to bring Malachi Crow in so that he can stand trial and be hung.
I was gonna say Odell Hicks is a sick son of a bitch. I mean, when you start granted, he's a very smart man for doing what he did.
But he's one of those guys that would shoot you if he knew that you were an outlaw. And then basically he would just say, well, he was running.
He was running. No, anyway, no.
You know what I mean? Like he'd be that guy. I'd be like, you were running from the law, son. Like,
well, no, because again, talk about your first like dirty cop in a sense. Like that's exactly what this is going on right now. I mean, he's just proving that. Yeah, unfortunately, back then it didn't matter. But if you have a badge, guess what? Law trumps everything. And then of course he could just do whatever the fuck he wanted, and that's exactly what he did. And Malachi just got thrown into the bullshit, even though he had nothing to do with it. Yes, we don't necessarily agree with the fact,
right?
That, yeah, he's a bad dude and everything else, but to be killed because of some misguided bullshit, that good old Odell Hicks decided, hey, well, he's an outlaw. We need to go after this motherfucker.
Yeah, and
and then start going after him, and I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and we will see, in this movie we will see Eli, because there's supposed to be like a flashback scene.
Yeah.
Where we see Wade as a younger person. He's technically like the outlaw, but he's leaving that life behind.
Right.
And we see kind of this, like, it'll be a flashback scene of Eli really just interacting with Wade and kind of having that like, no, I liked who you were before. You're a traitor now. Like, what are you just gonna like work a job and be a normal person? And we see that kind of defiance from Eli early on, which is where Wade, he just kind of leaves Wade and tries to become his own person with this outlaw gang. And Wade knows what is going to occur. Does he agree with it? Can he stop him? Not really.
No, of course not.
But I think in some ways he's like, Eli's got to figure it out on his own, not knowing like he was going to get shot dead sooner than later. But
yeah, I mean, this whole thing is, don't get me wrong, it's a great movie idea and concept, but damn, like this is rough on so many levels. I mean, it's talk about the ultimate portrayal on so many levels.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just like you would expect it from Hicks, you would expect it from Crow, but the one person I think that you would not expect it, and it's sort of like, yeah, I did this. I mean, one person in this whole movie that you would think like would be for him on some level would be Clara.
Nope, not at all.
And at some point, like, she betrays his trust by not divulging all the information that she has. I mean, yeah, she's not like, a super spy or something stupid like that, but she works in a saloon in this town. I don't know if you guys know, like, they don't have McDonald's or like like other restaurants where you can just go like get a Coke or a drink. You go to the damn saloon
and you get yourself a drink, usually whiskey.
You get your drinks there. You play your poker there. Like, you do everything there at the saloon.
I mean, you might have like a general store that might sell alcohol or something like that back in the day, but even then, I
would assume that there would be a general store, but nobody's hanging out at the general store talking about their dirty business. You know what I mean? Like,
usually it was the saloon or the bar, or I guess the rooming board house, whatever the hell you want to call it, or maybe that's why. I don't know why I was confusing it, but brothel. It should have been like, maybe she should be like have like a brothel on the side, and then be like, there's your pimp.
Well, I'm sure that occurred. I mean, and it is a boarding house. I mean,
well, you told me like, oh yeah, like basically like a tavern or like an inn. And I'm like,
well, I mean, it's like a boarding house is an inn, but she may not necessarily be offering that business, but there might be women who are there doing that business. If you know what I mean?
Oh, no, I know exactly what you mean. I'm just saying, like, I knew there was going to be some sort of prostitution, basically, back in the day. But yeah, but anyways, I feel like we've definitely nailed this on the head for at least this first episode, because I know next week, once we talk about it more, we'll be going into characters and some of the decisions that AI wanted to let us know about this movie. And like I said, I think so far, I think so knowing everything that we know, I would say that for a Western movie, this is definitely a unique take, and it's something new and something that could definitely, I don't know, I'm not saying it could like compete with like some of the old great classic Western movies, but it could definitely be a good modern take on it.
Yeah, I think it's just a different type of story, and I think that's what's so great about this concept is that it doesn't follow like the same kind of Western logic for the movies that already exist.
Right.
It's just completely different, and we do get to see Wade kind of on a level that he was before the story starts. I don't think he fully gets there. I think there's a little bit of conflict and tension and an aspect of himself that he doesn't want to go back to that person.
Right.
But I think by the second kill, like the mentality is like I got to just keep going. Like I got to keep driving. I got to keep figuring this out. Like, and we kind of do see him starting to go back to that. But I mean, it's such a unique and interesting story. I think if this was made, it would be pretty successful, I think.
Oh yeah, like I said, I think it could easily. I would think if the story was made, it could easily probably hit over a half a million. Or sorry, half a billion. There we go. Half not because if it was a half a million,
It would make we made it. We made it for $5 million. We made a $500,000.
We're
That's
like,
great.
Well, that's great, guys. You ain't getting paid shit. Here's $1. Like, no, I mean, like $500 million. I would say, like, it would definitely hit that. I mean,
I
whether
think
it hits more-
somewhere within the 250 to 500 million. I think it could make that. But I think we'll talk more about it in the next episode. Like, this would not be a heavy CGI.
No, this would be very practical effects.
If you did any CGI, it would be after the fact, and it would be like colorization. It would be
Like certain things.
like maybe muzzle flashes just to get like more of an impact of like the shooting. But like,
Yeah. A lot of this could be done practically.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to have like
they
you said,
actually do make blanks that give that muzzle flash.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially, I mean, think about it. Every Western movie you'd ever see, like they had to use something to make it look as realistic
Yeah.
as possible. So, and especially where there's the amount of technology that we have nowadays, you can't tell me that you can't.
No,
make
this
movie the
would
way it
be this 100%. And like I said, we'll definitely dive into this next week. But this movie lives and dies in its locations, in its set design, and its costumes.
right. And then but guess what? As long as you fit the DEI criteria for the teams, you'll be fine and you're ready to go. Wait, but what I noticed is, Matt, this is an all-white cast.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, Matt, that doesn't flow with the DEI standards, bud.
Well, I'm sorry, but black people were slaves back then, John.
Whoa, hey now, don't start that.
Oh, I'm just saying, 1800s.
It's like don't start that now.
I'm just saying, 1800s was a different time period. You know what I'm saying, man?
And by the way, so Matt,
You can
got
send
the-
your complaints to
Matt
John at.
No, don't even. I'd be like, no, you can send your complaints to Matt Gunther. No, I mean, I'm
just being real. I mean, it's not like we're making a movie called Django or some of these other movies that have black casts. Like, sure, were there black people around? Were there free black people? I'm sure there were.
Of course.
But if I'm just being honest, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, so don't be putting words in my mouth.
I love how he's looking at me like when he's talking about no.
No, I'm not trying to glorify it. I'm not trying to say it was a good thing. I'm just saying, like, most black people in that period of time, not even just black people, but people of all cultures other than the white man were slaves in the West in the 1800s. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's not a very diverse cast,
Nope.
right? I mean, maybe some of the Crow people could be. You could do whatever you want. AI did not give us a cast member for every single,
No, I know
character in this story, but
just enough.
you could do what you wanted with, the 3 different Crow members that we experience. I mean,
No.
one of them could be black, one of them could be Asian, one of them could be Native American. I have no idea.
Hey, Jesperson, I'm just saying. You never know.
Well, you already want him to be Sam Elliott.
I mean, it could be somebody else. I don't know. It depends on
Sam
who-
Elliott, I'm gonna shoot you dead.
I'm gonna shoot you dead, boy.
I'm gonna shoot you dead, boy.
God, I think we're having way too much fun with this. But anyways, boys and girls, no, we enjoyed ourselves with this episode. Stay tuned next time for next week's episode on AI versus Hollywood Part 2, and stay geeky.
Stay geeky.
Stay geeky, 'cause we're geeks from the multiverse.